Welcome to our few moments together on the Parsha. This Shabbos, we have the privilege of reading Parshas Vayeshev. Now, as we go through Chumash Bereshis and we reach Parshas Vayeshev, I don't know about you, but I get the feeling, and I think it can be felt by others too, that there's something wrong with the way the Jewish family, the family of Yaakov, the emes, the truth of Yaakov, but the children, how they reacted to each other, how they behaved. The Torah doesn't mince any words. The Torah tells us that the brothers hated Yosef. The Torah tells us that Yosef brought dibasum ra'ah el aviem. He brought evil speech about his brothers to their father. Parshas Vayeshev includes a number of incidents that make our skin crawl in terms of the behavior of the great leaders of the Jewish people, the 10 tribes and the 2 tribes, and the interaction between brothers, and the way the jealousy and hatred, as the Torah itself says, played itself out. And so when we read Parshas Vayeshev, we have a tendency, rightly so, to look upon the events that took place in Parshas Vayeshev and wonder to ourselves, were these the great leaders of the Jewish people? Are these the people that we're supposed to look at and admire for their righteousness? And the truth is, our Chazal point out that yes, every single aspect of their lives was done totally with a thought of righteousness. All you have to do is go to any of the classical explanations of Rashi and of the Ramban and others to see the absolute brilliance and beauty with which the brothers were really reacting, despite the fact that there were mistakes made. And the truth is that in the end, it all did work out. But Rav Shamshon Raphael Hirsch so beautifully takes all of these parshios that give us so much to think about and says, but look at the history of the Jewish people. The Jewish people as a family have always withstood every desire to act in an improper fashion. The Jewish people have always raised an entire society built on charity and brotherly love. The unbelievable amount of charity, of tzedakah, and acts of righteousness that the Jewish people share one with the other. Neighbors, helping poor people. The unbelievable amount of charities that are formed in every Jewish community to help the poor, the sick, the unhealthy, the unfortunate. The unbelievable amount of purity in morals that pervades the Jewish community, despite all the things we read about in the Torah. If we don't understand them and we don't recognize the beauty that is brought out by the teaching of our forefathers, to disregard and not allow jealousy, don't allow immorality, don't allow waste and foolishness to pervade a family or a society. Brothers and sisters have to love each other and care for each other. And neighbors have to get together to form organizations that help each other. And this is the heritage of the Jewish people over all the history, despite the origin that we read about in Vayeshev and in other sedges, which seems so negative. But because the Jewish people have a Torah that came to them And despite the fact that the Gemara says that the Jewish people were az sheba'umos, the most bold, and sometimes even, not so nice amongst the nations, nevertheless, we have been able to take all those attributes and tone them down and learn to live with them and become better. We've controlled ourselves and we become people of careful emotions and midos, to emphasize midos tovos. You talk about Lashon Hara in this week's Sedra? You know how widespread throughout the world is the Chafetz Chaim Heritage Foundation to teach us to speak no Lashon Hara? And in the words of our great leaders, not one word. And we see what it can do to destroy a nation. And therefore, when we read about Yosef and his brothers, and when we read about Yaakov and the children, and we read about the future of the Jewish people and how it took place, we have to follow Rav Hirsch's example of looking at Klal Yisrael in the most positive light, despite the humble beginnings and mistakes that were made. And even those mistakes, our Chazal clarify as being purely with a great holy intention. Nevertheless, our ways of life have to be purified and worked on so that we become a better nation. We become a nation that brings light to the world, a nation that lights 8 candles to shine with the menorah, to shine with Jewish hope for the future, to shine and recognize that Hashem is watching over us and that we have faith and trust in Him, and that His Torah, which was given to us after all these events of Chumash Vayeshev, helped us to become a greater and better nation. And that nation is what has been able to withstand the test of time and bring about beauty and hope for the world at large. Let us take that idea of Rav Hirsch, that the beauty of the Jewish people has shone ever bright as the years have gone on, because we've kept alive the genius and beauty of the connection we have with the Torah that teaches us lo sikom, don't take revenge. Lo sitor, don't even insult any of our neighbors. Don't say, I'm not going to be like you, I'm going to do the right thing. We don't even do that because we're so cautious about acting in a manner that is absolutely positive and proper and divine to each other. I want to wish everyone a wonderful Shabbat Shalom and Baruch as we grow to become a greater and better people as time goes on, closer to the teachings of the Torah and the divine teachings of Hashem in that Torah, so that we become the nation that is filled with kindness and chesed and bring light to the world at large. Shabbat Shalom u'mevarach.